This is Karen with newclevelandradio.net, and it is time for Lessons Learned. And if those of you who have been tuning in for Lessons Learned, you'll see that we talk about many, many subjects. But today it's really important to me because my very good friend, David Zimmerman, has been referring a number of individuals to me. And he suggested one day, he said, "What about Nic Novicki?" And I said, "Oh my gosh, like he's going to want to talk to me?" I'm excited because um, those of you, as if you're listening in and not on YouTube, go check him out on the internet because Nick is, you're an actor, you're a writer, you're a producer, um, you're a comedian,
That's
okay?
right.
And a new dad. Wow. I mean, how do you fit all those things into one day?
Well, now that I'm a new dad, it's a long day. So I got extra time.
So you are really an involved dad. And a lot of times we don't see that, especially with people who are in the industry. They sort of like put their foot down and go, "Oh, I'm so excited to have my child, but I've got to get back to the studio." Uh,
Yeah.
but you're spending time at home and uh, with the baby and your wife. And at the same time, you haven't given up on your career. So let's talk a little bit about how you got started. What made you decide, Nick, that you had, I'm going to use a very delicate word, chutzpah, to just like face the world and say, "Hey, I'm going to do what I want to do."
I think we all have different personalities, and you sort of the way I was brought up, it was always, hey, I'm gonna play baseball or I'm gonna play basketball. And even though I'm 3'10" now, I was a lot shorter. For those that can't see me, I'm a little person. Um, but ultimately, I just wanted to live my life, and that was always my mentality. I'm an extrovert by nature. So I was the guy that would sit next to a stranger and talk too much on an airplane, and so that's kind of, I started, really early in, I think when I was 11 years old, maybe 8 years old, I started doing public speaking for Little People of America, raising money for the organization. And I would always open with a joke. I would talk about, the podium, no one can see me here. Would you forget the stool? And I knew if I could, that I had the audience like that, once I could make the room laugh,
Right.
and if I could, then now they're listening into my story. So I kind of learned that instinctually. I think just growing up as a little person, joking as a defense mechanism, but also as just a way to be kind of funny in a talent that I was good at. And so you do what you're good at, whether that's negotiating or comedy or being an accountant or
Yep.
something else like a scientist. You do whatever you have a passion for, and whatever you're good at. And I think ultimately for me, it was doing that. It was, putting people at ease with me being a little person, but also just having a good time and trying to, have fun wherever I am and create as much as I can. I started doing stand-up comedy pretty much right after that, and acting. Um, and I've been very lucky. I've been in a lot of TV shows, a lot of movies. I've gotten the chance to tour all over the world performing for the troops. So, I've performed on 6 continents now. So it's pretty wild. When you kind of look back, you're like, wow, I started here. And, not to say I'm like, Kevin Hart or, Leonardo DiCaprio, but I've had a career. And so it's
Absolutely.
been an honor.
Well, and one of the things that I really want to stress in Lessons Learned is that we all view success differently.
Hmm.
I know growing up, um, you know, I would play music and I would dance around the house. And I didn't really have the talent to really sing and dance, but I dreamt, oh, one of these days I'm going to go to New York and I'm going to be a dancer. Um, And I realized that wasn't going to happen. Number one, I never took dance lessons. Number two, if you would have asked my family back then, I was a klutz. Okay. Um, and, but I dreamt about those things. And then finally, I started finding what it was that I wanted to do. And a lot of people thought I was crazy. Um, Graduating high school in 1968, I said, I'm going to go to college and go into broadcasting. And my teachers, my family looked at me and said, are you crazy? Women aren't going to make it. And, I still went to school and, got my associate's degree. And my parents finally said, no, you can go work uh, as a secretary. We're not spending any more money. And today the world is different. We look at ourselves and we say, what is it that I can do? And how can I do it best? And when you take that mentality, we all can be 10 feet tall, because we're going to be a presence in front of everyone. And so that's what I love about you found that comedy helped you identify yourself, not necessarily identifying and say, hey, everybody, look at me. I'm this little person who can do it. You said, hey, everybody, I'm Nic and I can do this.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that that's kind of, it's funny how it just things just develop instinctually. You're a good dancer and wanted to dance. You were good at broadcasting skills and then you kind of fall into that. A lot of times people ask me, how do I get into comedy? I said, get on stage. That's it.
That's right.
You can read a book, you could do all that stuff, but that's kind of my main, advice for everybody is always do as much as you can on your own. For myself as an actor, the majority of the work I've gotten has been from projects that I've been involved in producing, writing, uh, within my network. And sometimes my network comes from me doing free jobs or helping out other projects. So you end up getting hired based on people you know. And so the more things you could do, if you're an up and coming artist, whether you're an actor, writer, dancer, uh, comedian, just put yourself out there. And especially when you're starting out, the most important thing is for you to just one, get experience, but two, build your network, because you're not always going to get hired by the top, whether you're a ballerina like the American
Right.
Ballet Company. It may be an avant-garde, organization, but then those are the people that end up in those top positions. So that's kind of been my philosophy on everything I've done. And 8.5 years ago, I created the Disability Film Challenge. And the reason I created that was because I wanted to help other people with disabilities create their own content, not just talk about what they want to do, but to create films and have these films not be about their disability, but be just films that include people with disabilities.
Right.
And it's about the collaboration of people with and without disabilities, because each film has to have somebody with a disability there in front of or behind the camera. And so I partnered with Easterseals, the nation's largest disability services organization, and now we're the Easterseals Disability Film Challenge, and we've had 500 films, made over the years, and it's led to countless TV shows, movies, opportunities. But ultimately, I mean, these are just people that just are doing kind of what I've always done, which is just making their own content. And I
Exactly.
think when you produce your own thing, that's the undeniable way where you can now put yourself out there and be seen by people from around the world with the internet.
Well, I love what you've done with the film challenge because again, some are in front of the camera, some are behind the camera because that's where their strengths are. And that's really where they want to be. It's not necessarily, "Hey, I want to be in front of the camera because I want to be seen, but I'm going to be in front of the camera because that's where my strength is. And I can show
Mhm.
you that I can play this part, um, whether I'm in a wheelchair or whether I have cerebral palsy and maybe, have quirky movements. It doesn't make any difference. Life is life. And when
Yeah.
we start allowing ourselves to see people for who they are and not for some image that we have in our head. Um, I remember when my son was first diagnosed on the autism spectrum, for the first 6 years of his life, he was considered mainstream. Nobody would have
Mhm.
thought anything of it. Then he gets this diagnosis. He didn't change overnight. He didn't look any different overnight. He didn't change overnight, but he had some quirks that put him in this diagnosis. And one of them was loud noises in big groups. And at school, loud noises, big groups, it came out. And I had people say to me, "Oh, you have to work with his disability." And I said, "No, I don't. I have to work with his strengths. I have to find out, and he has to find out what he's good at and let him
Mhm.
grow from there." And has it been a struggle? Yeah, but he's found them. And I am so glad that I allowed that because I learned more about myself. Like I said, I'm a
Yeah.
klutz, so I don't dare go out on the dance floor.
Hey, I mean, sometimes it's good though to get on the dance floor and make a fool,
Well,
or
that's different.
I mean, I'm a firm believer in just getting out there, and sometimes when you fail, it's actually good, because it kind of it motivates you. As a
Right.
comedian, sometimes when I go up and I bomb, I have a bad set or it just doesn't go good. I'm now backstage and I'm writing. I'm thinking, how do I, how can I do this different? And so I think sometimes it's like that with the disability community too. When you said that your son did have the struggles or dealing with adversity and how to fit in and how to do all these things. Well, that's life. There's no perfect. It's all gonna just work out great all the time. And so
Absolutely.
I always say, as people with disabilities, we have a lot to offer in the sense that we're able to problem solve and kind of compartmentalize. I don't even think I said the right word, but you know what I'm saying.
Right.
Like what we like what we're thinking in real time. How, oh, I can't reach this, so I'm going to try to find a stool, or I'm going to use this stick to open the garbage can. So we're thinking on different ways to do things, and I think that's good. That's a positive
Absolutely.
thing for society to have people thinking of different ways.
Well, and that's creative thinking too.
Hmm.
Some of us, who are considered, I guess, normal height, think, "Oh, yeah, I should be able to stretch and reach and get that." Whereas maybe I should be thinking sometimes I should get a stool and stand on it to get it. Um, but you're right. I think when you open yourself up, you then learn to look at things differently and you observe life and it becomes much, much richer. So, that to me is, you know, the whole concept behind this show. So, like we just talked about, you just had a child 30 days ago, a month ago.
Yeah.
Um, did you expect life to change much at all for you?
Well, to be 100% honest, I have been so busy. We had the eighth annual film challenge, which happened in March. We had our award ceremony that Microsoft hosted in May 6th. So my child was born in April, in between the busiest time of the year for me, which
Right.
is this film challenge where, I'm dealing with 1,000 people from around the world that take part in the challenge, plus judges, plus every major studio network, Fortune 500 companies that sponsor
Wow.
screenings from around the world, and Microsoft and accessibility concerns and finalists and the press. So I went into it honestly not as nervous about what I was getting into as a new parent, because I was so busy and just
Sure.
focused solely on the film challenge. Obviously I took all the baby classes, my wife and I have been preparing, but I didn't really get a chance to have that, oh, my life is going to be so different. And then honestly, in the weeks right after, between the birth of my child and the award ceremony, I was still pretty busy with the award ceremony. So spending a lot of time with my baby, loving her, helping out my wife as much as I can, but not really even focusing on how much my life had changed.
Right.
And then after our award ceremony on May 7th, I was like, oh, whoa, I got this baby. I gotta, I gotta do more stuff. And so, it's been great. I haven't been, as a comedian, I tour all around the world, and I've been just staying put, here, and really now just, I'm still wrapping things up with the film challenge, and really right now for the last year, we've been doing everything online,
Right.
film festival screenings, Q&As, panels. So still doing some of that stuff, but really now just trying to, spend that time with my daughter and my wife, and really enjoy the moment,
Yep.
and, and feel it. And there'll be times for me to get back out on the road,
Right.
soon.
Well, and the pandemic really changed a lot of us as well. Like you said, here you were doing this whole film challenge through, Zoom calls probably, and
Mhm.
FaceTime. And, it was getting used to that. And I think so many of us have gotten used to it, that
Yeah.
when we're told that it's okay to go out into public, it's like, I'm not so sure I'm ready for that. Although I am
Yeah.
looking forward to being out a little bit more, because my studio can only contain me for so many
Yeah.
hours a day.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I as a comedian, I actually did a tour. I was in Cleveland actually, this fall. We did drive-in movie theaters.
Yes, I heard
So,
about that. Yes.
we did a lot of different things, where it's as humans, we need to keep moving forward and innovating, and finding a way to still doing what we want to do. For the film challenge, in some senses, this pandemic actually kind of helped us. We grew a lot both years, because the film challenge is making a film wherever you are in the world by yourself, and then taking the film and then putting it on the YouTube channel and our Facebook channel and Instagram. So what we did was pretty much already online. Everything was already online. So the only thing that stinks is that we usually have a lot of in-person screenings, opportunities where our participants can network, build those connections to hire each other. And we still did that. We've done every event, and honestly more than we normally do, but they've all been online. So I'm definitely looking forward for getting in person, back into the film festivals, the in-person screenings. But you said it, some things are not going to be the same. There's going to be a lot of things that, not just with what we do, with what I do, is actually not going to change much. But I think around the country, we're going to see a lot more things just be virtual or online, versus big events that they have to pay for renting out large spaces and food and drinks. And that we may see more of a combination of some in person and some online.
Well, and I know there are a number of venues around, at least the Northeast and here in Cleveland, where they've been reopened for concerts, but maybe only at 20% capacity. And then they are
Yeah.
streaming them on YouTube. Um, and of course, the ticket on YouTube is much less than at the venue. But some of them are filmed in such way, are streamed in such way that you actually feel like you are there in a crowd. And
That's awesome.
we usually stream it up to our large screen TV in the living room, and we sit down with either a Diet Coke or a glass of wine, and it's like our evening out. And we
That's
get to
fun.
see sometimes more concerts that way than we would if we were going venue to venue. So I do think that we are going to see some changes. Um, but like I also said, it's going to certainly be nice to be out in public, and
It's the
maybe,
roaring 20s.
yeah,
We're all gonna get ready to go back out and be together. And I think we all, and I would definitely say the disability community, we love it. We love to be around each other. The film challenge is really a community. We're we're supporting each other. We're going to each other's events, shows. I make jokes about it all the time, but you could tell
Right.
when people are coming out to see me, because I got an array of people in the audience. So you're like, who's that parking lot here?
Yeah.
Or Nick on the show, or what's going on? So we're gonna get back.
Absolutely. And I mentioned David Zimmerman at the beginning of this podcast. He has
What a
his own
great guy.
podcast, Meet the Biz, and I love him. Um, and sometimes he will have on half a dozen or more people on his podcast. He's much better at doing that than I am. More than 2 or 3, it's like enough. But tell me how David is involved.
So David is a great friend, and I would say one of the biggest supporters of the disability community I know. He's a casting director. He's a teacher. He's an ally. He's a confidant. And that's just to the disability community as a whole. But he's also hosted meetup events, really starting like year 1 at the Disability Film Challenge, or maybe year 2. And so, then, he's continued to host events, doing things with Easterseals. Once Easterseals partnered with me, we continue to, host events, and he's really a resource where people can go to him and find talent. So a lot of times, at one time, we had 30 filmmakers in a row calling him or emailing him on the same day. Hey, I entered the film challenge. I need an actor, and I'm looking for. He's the greatest guy in the world. He's on the phone. He's calling everybody back. He's like, "Let me find you this. Where are you, Texas? All right, let me." So he's one of those guys that's just a true great person, and he's somebody that just loves what he does, and he loves the disability community, and so. He always says it too. It's like family. We go to events, we support each other, but he made a film last year that was really great.
Yes.
Honey Bunny is the name of it. And it's a beautiful, for those of you that can go to YouTube and type in Honey Bunny, Easterseals Disability Film Challenge. And you're going to see a beautiful love story of 2 people with Down syndrome. Sadly, one of them passed away, just a couple months ago. So to have this film that was done not even a year ago, was really a true love story and a nice time capsule for Blair, the gentleman with Down syndrome that lost the love of his life. So it's a beautiful film. And it's about them coping during the pandemic. This was shot in the summer. Well, but it's just really well done. And it's screening at film festivals all over the world. It got distribution just recently. And, so David is one of those guys. He's always working on another project, and he's always helping. And every time I talk to him, he's, talking about something else that's fun. Hey, I want you to come and be a guest lecturer. I'm doing this thing. And I'm like, I'm in whatever you're doing.
Well, and he is one terrific guy. And I will tell our audience that, yes, I have seen Honey Bunny. And I have a very dear friend whose daughter is Down syndrome. And watching it, I just said, this is your daughter inside and out. She's beautiful. Their daughter sings. She loves to be around people. And the mother knows that, and she watched the movie and she said to me, "Oh my gosh, you saw my G in the movie." And I said, "Yes, I did." And we all have to see each other for who we really are, not for, like I said in the beginning, being a little person, a person in a wheelchair, a person who doesn't have vision, a person like myself who wears hearing aids, and in the wrong conditions, I have no idea what's going on around me. But we know how to adapt. We know how to find those strengths inside of us. And I'm just so proud of you and everyone on the challenge. I mean, I saw a couple of the films this year so far, and it's like, where's all this talent coming from? It's phenomenal. It just
Yeah,
is.
93 films this year.
Wow.
So it's when you stream that all together, that's you're talking about hours and hours of content that's authentic and beautiful. And this year it was mockumentary, so these are really funny the films and
Absolutely. Yes.
uh,
Well, I want to thank you so much for being with us. I know your daughter's going to be waking up shortly. And so you're going to have to.
I'm always on guard. I'm ready, like a fighter pilot. I'm getting ready to.
I love it. It's not often that we have a father who is as excited about, fathers love their kids. Okay.
Yeah.
My father used to say this often: I love my children, but I can't be with them all the time. and he was with us a lot. And I always wondered growing up, what does that mean? And when I got older, he finally said, if he said that, that gave him the opportunity to walk out of the room or to go play golf or go do something else. But he said, no, I loved my kids. So I did stick around. And I said, well, that's wonderful. We're glad that you loved us because we loved you too. So someday we're going to interview your daughter and we're going to hear the same wonderful things about you and your wife. Okay.
Thank you.
Well, you have a great day. Stay in touch with us. Let us know if there's anything we can do to help you with your film challenge. Okay.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks.
And if you want to check out the films, go to disabilityfilmchallenge.com. Also, you could follow me online on all social media sites at Nic Novicki.
We will put that in the show notes. Have a great day. Bye-bye now.
You too. Bye.